So, I guess we're making this a thing. Sunday, slow day at work. I actually do work when I need to do work, but when there's nothing to do, here we are. You're gonna get used to this setting. Um, I could use that stupid fake green screen effect. Anyway, um, another unscripted, random sort of thought. This one's like, I don't even have a rough idea. It's just something I've been pondering. So, like, if you're the type of person who answers, I listen to everything when somebody asks, oh, what sort of music do you listen to? You're just getting to know somebody, you just met somebody, and they ask the question, which, by the way, is always a loaded question. Unless you're like a turbo normie to the point where like you wouldn't even click on a video because of the way that I look, which case you're not watching this. That's a loaded question, okay? What music do you listen to? What kind of music do you listen to? Anybody who tries to just remain neutral and it's like, oh, I listen to everything, and that is always, almost always met with like annoyance or frustration. You get that the reason that people are asking that is because they have a certain passion about a specific type of music that they're trying to relate to. Because, again, from the perspective of metal, because I've been listening to metal for way too long, I would almost never strike up this conversation because I don't like talking about music. However, if I did, if I struck up a conversation with somebody, asked what sort of music they listen to, you understand I'm coming from the perspective of someone who, excluding the past few months, listened basically only to metal, right? Um, and I don't necessarily think that the answer that I'm looking for is, oh, I also listen to metal. But if it's I listen to everything, almost nobody who answers that is going to have a deep enough understanding or passion of a specific genre that you can relate to, or at least that I can relate to, right? I know a couple people who say they listen to everything, and they actually do have a very comprehensive knowledge of metal and among other things, but certain genres click with certain people. And metalheads are one of the most egregious and loud about it, but it is a real thing that when you hear metal, the people who really like it, you fucking feel it. Like, you feel it inside. I'm a recovering metalhead. I'm trying to find music that I can get that amped about that isn't metal, right? But when that question comes up, you're trying to find common ground. You're trying to find something to get excited about. And so, for me, like I said, past couple months, I haven't really been listening to metal. I've been trying to explore things that I like outside of that. Which primarily what's been resonating with me is like witch house, like goth trap, like wave music. I really dig that. So if I did ask someone what they listen to, you know, I'd be looking for, if not common ground, at least a common enthusiasm. You're super amped up about Taylor Swift. That's fucking great. I love that. I will do my best to accommodate. Yeah, like fucking amazing songwriter, shamelessly catchy, like lyrics that are, I don't know, unabashedly genuine sounding, right? I will find common ground. If you say, I don't know, I just listen to everything. Cool. Okay. Like, where am I supposed to go with that? Because it's just like, yeah, well, no, I'm open to anything. You can just put on whatever. But it's like, okay, sure, but you're not going to have, if you listen to everything, then when I put on Dark Funeral, chances are you're not going to have a decent context of that. I'd prefer you just say what you listen to. And I know not everyone is as autistic about music as I am. That's fine. But I'm trying to explain that when I listen to everything Lloyds say that, in my experience, it's almost always met with frustration and negativity because it's passionate weirdos that want to connect with something, you know? and I listen to everything is it's basically the cop out. It's fine if you say that about food. I'll eat anything. Sure. Pizza sounds good. I'm not picky. Great. You're not picky. That's awesome. But food, you need to live. So if somebody doesn't like a certain thing, they're not going to eat that. You need to find common ground there. With music, it's art. It doesn't fucking matter. If you're asking, it's not because, like, if you're asking me what I listen to, and I say metal, and you don't put on metal, I'm not going to die. And I'm not going to not listen to it. It's just, there's common factors there for being social. I know I'm the forefront expert in being social as someone who avoids social contact as much as I possibly can. However, I'm trying to explain the perspective of people like me. You can be an I listen to everythingoid, but don't expect any progress to be made on that front. If you're an I listen to everythingoid, maybe you can bond over sports or like dog breeds or food, right? Like that's basically, that answer is a closed avenue. That is my thesis for this very loosely unified video. It's like anyone who's like super amped up about a specific music, they're not going to be disparaging to other music. At least you shouldn't be. Anyone who's like that is a shithead. It's more an invitation to express what you're excited about. Same as seen any good movies lately, which is why I always reply, no, I don't watch movies, so that I don't have to talk to people. But if I was ever in the position where I'm like, hey, what do you listen to? That is a genuine fucking question, and I want a genuine fucking answer. And there's no wrong answer except for, I kind of listen to everything. Because that's a dead end. There's a reason the question's being answered. Like, congratulations. I'm glad you can just go to Spotify, just go, and just like pick something. That would drive me crazy. I would not like that. But I wouldn't die. I just wouldn't like that. You know? Again, it's wildly hypothetical to say that, you know, if I ever asked someone who I've just met, what do you listen to? That is a wildly hypothetical. But assuming that this actually happened at some point, it is an invitation for you to get excited about something that you're passionate about, right? Because you know damn well if I just met somebody for the first time and we're talking about interests or whatever, and someone brings up dark tranquility or catatonia, I'm going to have an autistic freak out, right? Because it's really exciting to find someone with common ground. Or Dimmu Borgir, or whatever, all of the reasons that I'm an unsuccessful musician. You know, I'm going to get really excited about that because I really like those subgenres of music and I really like those bands. And so when that question comes up, it's not a contest to be like, oh, I listen to these different types of music. I think it's more interesting if you're discriminating, because that's not wrong. Like, there's certain bands that I absolutely cannot fucking stand. I don't think I'd ever close down an entire genre, and I do like how some groups of musicians have just, like, it's okay to just be super closed off. In metal, bash and pop is getting a little uncool, but man, it is so normal to just rip on country. And it's like, okay, sure. Country has some of the best straightforward songwriting that's like available anywhere, except for the aforementioned Taylor Swift, who started out as country, you know? They don't value arrangements the same way that metal does. Like with metal, it's about the musicianship. It's about the technicality. That's the expression. Whereas with country, you can give or take a few different instruments in that arrangement because it's about the words being sung over top of the more or less stock chords, right? But again, that's not the point. It's not a theory, and it's not an exercise in music theory. Like it's emotional content expressed through a platform that is more or less standardized. Anyway, that's an entirely different thing. Actually, no. I wanted to clarify and add shit onto this because it's my own video and I can do whatever the hell I want. If you're watching, then cool. And if this is the reason that you leave, then that's fucking fascinating. Anyway, so okay, the examples that I used there, like metal versus country and like the arrangements thing. See, metal is so specific with the arrangements that like a band's guitar tone, the signal chain, right? Like the type of guitar plus the type of pickups plus the type of preamp pedal plus the type of amp head plus the type of cab plus the type of mic, all of that shit taken together can create a band's signature guitar sound. And that's not even what they're playing, that's just how the instrument sounds, right? And it can be similar with the drums, and definitely some bands with the bass. And that setup for the vast majority of metal bands, that doesn't change. For an entire album, that's all that's happening sonically, because what the music is concerned with is the playing and the writing and the technicality. Because again, the vast majority of metal, if you just pop on a random metal album and listen to it, chances are, even if you're a guitar player, you can't do that unless you happen to pick Doom. Then everyone can do that. Contrasted with country, you'll have the bass arrangement, like I said, chords and words, and the arrangement will change per song. Now, you'll always have specific instruments, right? You might have like a fiddle or a banjo, sometimes a piano, most likely an acoustic guitar. That's usually how it's centered. But like even in terms of percussion, it varies wildly. Whereas in metal, it's basically, okay, you're going to have double kick, you're going to have snare, you're going to have toms, you're going to have hi-hat, you're going to have ride cymbal, you're going to have crash cymbal, and then chances are you're going to have some splashes and some chinas. And really the only variance in metal is like how many chinas and splashes. Whereas there's country songs where you just got that fucking square box that you thump on, and like country expert over here, and like a tambourine or whatever, and then other people, full rock kit. And those are both country. And also, that doesn't matter for what the song is saying. So you can strip down country arrangements and you won't lose the musical quality necessarily. You might like an arrangement of that recording, but if you stripped away the guitar tone in a Children of Bodom album, you would fucking notice. Hell, even if you just used a different amp, it would sound different in a way where it wouldn't matter as much in like a country or a pop album. Those arrangements are made for a reason, and you build the feel of the song around the arrangement, but it's a lot more fluid in country because that's not the focus. It's a nice touch, but most people who are listening to it don't care about that. They care about the words, and if there's some correlation between the arrangement and the words, that's great. If it's a more upbeat song, you might have like a super fast fiddle part or whatever, and like on a technical level, that's hard, and some people can't do that. But it's not the same as it is in metal, where the focus is that. The focus, a lot of times, it seems like, fuck you, you can't do this. And I know that's not the case, because like a lot of guitar players, hell, like my guitar player, right? He can just shit out songs that most normal people would never be able to touch. And it's not that he thinks he's better than you, it's just that's what metal is. That's how metal works. And it's not how country works, because it's a genre focused on like singer-songwriter, on the words, on the story, usually. And that doesn't make it better or worse. It might make it better or worse for you as an individual who prefers one thing to the other. But that doesn't just objectively mean it's okay to like shit on one over the other because one's easier to make than the other. As someone who's trying to make pop right now, pop is way harder to make than metal, man. Like, I haven't put out music recently because I've taken a break, but it's mostly because I'm trying to write music that isn't metal, and fuck is it hard. If you told me I had 4 hours to shit out a metal song, you would get a metal song, and also I would have an hour to chill out. But oh my god, it's so much different when the arrangement is so much more sparse, and also those preset sounds that I talked about, they don't exist. Like, the focus with the sound design is so much wider. Well, I guess it's not a focus. That's my whole point, is that pop can take from all these different things, all these different sounds. There's no set precedent, whereas there is in metal. There's so many more decisions you do not have to make, because it's not like, oh, should we use guitar, or what kind of guitar tone? No, it's always going to be a high gain guitar tone. There's like, at most 5 different amps to choose from. And since I already have conventions that I use, I don't even ask that question. If I'm writing a metal song, I already know what cab it's going through. I already know what drive pedal it's going through. At most, I'm going to be picking between like 2 amps, maybe 3. So all those decisions are already fucking made, because they matter for the sound, but it's so specialized. It's so much more specific. Whereas country and pop, they can do whatever for the arrangement, and it won't ruin the song. That's a tangent. Metalheads shouldn't be shitting on that just because it's different. And doubly so if you think that you're discriminated for being a metalhead. Shut the fuck up. Like, do you want a medal for listening to metal? That wasn't intentional. Just, like, shut up. Nobody cares what you listen to. But I care what you listen to. This is taking a turn. I'm going to figure my way out of this one. That's what it comes down to. Like, it's an invitation to express your opinions on something. And since it's art, it doesn't matter. It's not like politics where you can be objectively wrong and I'll judge you. Lol. I just ripped on people who think that metal is good and country is bad, right? But at least that's an opinion. and I'll debate you on it, and I won't think less of you as a human being, right? Because it's art and it's subjective, and like that is a conversation. When you're discriminating against something that's artistic expression, great, because at least there's ground to be gained there as far as like conversation, which is the whole point, That's like, I listen to everything. It's just cool, because I know that when you say that, there's like a 0.01% chance that you actually listen to the stuff that I listen to. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 common bands, but I wouldn't know, because that's not very specific. If you listen to everything, you're basically claiming that all of Spotify is wide open, and there's like billions of songs on there, and most of them are probably kind of bad. And I just doubt that you'll have a comprehensive knowledge in like every single given genre, nor would I think that that's valuable. I don't know. You can scan through. If you just genuinely listen to fucking anything, sure. But I think it's a lot more interesting when people have specific niches, specific areas of interest, because the vast majority of people saying they listen to everything, they mean that they listen to popular stuff, from old-ish popular stuff to current popular stuff. Nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing really to say about it. I'm not going to talk about the Beatles unless I'm shitting on them. I'm definitely not going to talk about how great the Beatles were for more than 2 minutes. Like, yep, innovative production, some innovative, like, chord music theory stuff. They did kind of cool stuff with chords and counting sometimes. Cool, we're done. That's it. I'm not going to be like, oh, fucking those were the days, man. Yeah, those were the days before I was fucking born, and they're completely irrelevant to me. I don't know where I'm going with this. Bye.